Now, sometimes it feels like who owes what has become the central theme of the governor's race. Political attack ads and counterattack ads about debt have flooded the airwaves.
Well, now our Fox 5 team has found that some of the debt held by Brian Kemp's companies is with a bank that he helped start and now sits on its board of directors. Debt the campaign did not want to discuss. Senior I-Team reporter Dale Russell has this exclusive report. Dale?
Russ, Fox 5 has already reported on Stacey Abrams' $50,000 debt to the IRS and Brian Kemp's bitter lawsuit in which a company claims Kemp didn't pay off a $500,000 debt he personally guaranteed. Now we decided to examine some $800,000 in insider loans Kemp's companies owe to a bank he helped start. It was a financial freefall that America hadn't seen since the 1930s. In 2008, the stock market collapsed. People lost their homes, massive banks went under, the Great Recession was underway. As the financial pain galvanized the country, companies linked to Georgia businessman Brian Kemp, according to land records and candidate filings, began taking car, property, and real estate development loans totaling more than $2 million from a community bank in Athens, Georgia, First Madison Bank and Trust. It was a bank he knew well. Kemp was a founding board member and a stockholder.
I want you to know how excited that we are to be moving on to November.
Kemp is a real estate investor and property manager. According to his financial disclosures, companies linked to Kemp borrowed millions from more than half a dozen banks. But we were curious about Kemp's loans with his own bank. These so-called insider loans, while perfectly legal, are highly regulated.
This is an opportunity for the bank to have a strong loan on their books.
Rohan Ganduri, a finance professor at Emory, says bank loans to insiders like Kemp are governed by Federal Reserve laws. He says some bankers like making these loans to wealthy board members and shareholders since they're good credit risks and wouldn't want to harm the bank. But others worry about insider loans.
There are potentially conflicts of interest. These insiders can treat these bank loans or this bank as a private piggy bank.
Ganduri says the Federal Reserve sets strict requirements that loans be on the same terms a bank would give any other borrower. In short, no special terms or advantages. If I fall under these regulations, the bank should not give me any special privileges.
That's exactly right.
We asked Brian Kemp's campaign staff to disclose the terms of Kemp's insider loans so we could see if he was treated just like any other customer. But they refused to share the information with us.
If there's nothing that you're hiding that you feel is in bad faith, discuss it.
Sarah Henderson, director of good government group Common Cause, thinks Kemp should explain what kind of deal the bank gave on the money and why it hasn't been paid off.
And he's not a private citizen. He's a Secretary of State. And he has an obligation, not only as a candidate, but as a sitting constitutional officer, to be transparent with the voters of Georgia.
The two biggest loans made to companies linked to Kemp were made as the economy was collapsing in 2007 and 2008.
And so I know for a fact that it was very hard to get credit during this time.
The first loan was for this lakeland near the South Carolina border. Kemp is part owner of Shelter Rock, which borrowed more than $1.3 million from First Madison Bank in September 2007. The deed showed the money was to be repaid 1 year later in 2008. But 6 years later, the bank modified that loan, giving Shelter Rock more time. But when Kemp filed his 2017 financial disclosure, a decade after the original loan, Shelter Rock still owed the bank $675,000. And today, Kemp is trying to sell those lake lots.
One needs to look at the terms. I think the terms are very important. For instance,
but they won't tell us the terms.
Yes, and that can be an issue.
The second loan was made in 2008 to Specialty Stone, a company co-owned by Kemp. Kemp signed the First Madison Bank deed securing the debt. That deed showed the maximum amount the company could borrow on the loan was unlimited.
That is not very typical.
Kemp's financial disclosures reflect Specialty Stone borrowed a total $202,000 in August of 2009. The plan was to pay it all back by 2012. But his latest disclosure shows Specialty Stone still owes First Madison Bank a total of $97,000.
My understanding is you declined, or the campaign declined, to talk to our I-team.
We tried one last time. Our Russ Spencer sat down to talk with Brian Kemp about the campaign and asked him about those insider loans.
Those loans are backed. You know, there's auditors that audit the bank, you know, just like other members of the board of directors that have loans with that bank. I do too, but I have loans with many other banks. So there's no insider deal. This is normal business practices.
But Kemp's campaign staff didn't want any more questions about those loans. Interview over. A bank spokesperson would not comment. So we still don't know the details about Brian Kemp's company's insider loans.
Now, tomorrow we examine Stacey Abrams' debt to the IRS and the controversy that has created in this gubernatorial campaign. Russ, Sine?
All right, Dale, we look forward to that report.